Welcome to Flatirons Consulting's guide on how to structure a digital transformation project team. It's easy to believe the magic lives inside the software, but in reality, the structure of your team shapes results far more than any tool. A well-designed team creates outcomes. A poorly designed one creates confusion and rework. The core idea is simple. Build a capability, not a one-time project. Transformation isn't a box to check. It's an enduring ability your organization carries forward. That means your team must be organized to learn, adapt, and deliver value repeatedly, not just once at go live. Here's how we'll approach it. We'll map the transformation lifecycle and the roles that make it work. Steering Committee and the Transformation Management Office. TMO for enabling governance. The Program Manager who orchestrates across streams, the functional and technical work streams, and the adoption and value streams that make results stick. If you take one theme from this opening slide, make it this. Put capability before tools. Build the team that can deliver results today and keep delivering tomorrow. That's how we choose clarity over chaos and turn change into advantage. Let's take a look at our agenda for today. We'll begin with a principle that sits at the heart of transformation. Why structure must come before technology. Too many organizations let tools drive the program, but without the right team and governance, those tools rarely deliver lasting outcomes. Next, we'll look at the risks of a tech-centered approach and how those blind spots can derail adoption, slow decision-making, and cause value to fade after go-live. From there, we'll shift to the structure and roles that sustain value over time. We'll connect these directly to the transformation lifecycle so you can see how assessment, alignment, execution, and sustainment all depend on the right people in the right places. Then, we'll spotlight the critical roles you cannot skip. These are the anchors of transformation: the program manager, the steering committee and TMO, and the functional, technical, and adoption leads. They protect value, align the work with strategy, and make sure the organization is truly ready. Finally, we'll close with a checklist and clear next steps. This gives you something tangible to take back, a quick way to confirm whether your own program has the foundation needed to succeed. By the end of this session, you'll have a practical roadmap that moves from common pitfalls to a disciplined structure that equips your team to deliver transformation that lasts. When it comes to digital transformation, the very first principle is this. Capability comes before technology. That means you start by getting alignment, not by picking tools. Ask the basics. Why are we doing this? What problem are we solving? How will we measure success? Without that clarity, technology quickly becomes a distraction instead of a solution. One way to build alignment is by setting simple OKRs, objectives and key results, or using a similar framework. These create a common language for outcomes and give everyone a clear picture of what success will look like when the work is complete. The next step is to design the future operating model. Imagine what day-to-day work should look like once transformation is complete. How will people interact? What processes will shift? What new habits will take root? That picture becomes your North Star, guiding both design and adoption. From there, you staff the team according to the life cycle: assessment, alignment, execution, and sustainment. Each phase requires its own roles, deliverables, and accountabilities. Only after you've staffed to the life cycle and established structure should you turn to the technology layer. When you follow this order, you create what we call clarity over chaos. Instead of chasing tools and hoping they deliver value, you build a capability where technology serves the bigger purpose, not the other way around. Every successful transformation begins with leadership, and that means a cross-functional steering committee paired with a transformation management office, or TMO. Think of it as vision plus execution. The steering committee sets the direction, while the TMO keeps the work moving day to day. Together, this leadership team owns the vision, scope, funding, and major risks of the transformation. They are not just reviewing reports, they are setting the guardrails for what the program must achieve, how much investment is available, and which risks need to be managed from the start. Just as importantly, they decide on the operating model and the value targets. In other words, they define how the organization should function once transformation is complete and what measurable outcomes will prove success. Without this anchor, teams drift, chasing activity instead of delivering value. The steering committee and TMO also provide a clear path for escalations. Every program will hit roadblocks. If issues don't have a fast and simple path upward, momentum stalls. This leadership structure exists to clear obstacles, not create red tape. And here's the key mindset. Governance should enable, not constrain. These forums are practical, reviewing facts, tracking value, and removing barriers. This is where the principle of culture over compliance comes to life. With light, clear, and enabling governance, teams move faster and leaders stay confident. One of the most critical roles in any digital transformation is the program manager. This isn't just a coordinator or scheduler, it's the internal leader who holds the entire effort together. The program manager reports directly to the steering committee and the Transformation Management Office, TMO, making them the bridge between high-level governance and daily execution. Their responsibilities span the full scope of the program. They own the overall plan, ensuring every stream is aligned and moving at the right pace. They manage people and dependencies, helping different functions collaborate, resolving conflicts, and preventing bottlenecks. They also lead risk management and vendor orchestration, making sure external partners, consultants, and technology providers are integrated into one cohesive effort rather than operating in silos. It's important to draw a clear distinction here. This role is not the same as a technical project manager. A technical PM might be accountable for a single platform or stream, but the program manager is accountable for the outcome of the transformation itself. Their mandate is not just to launch a tool, but to ensure the organization achieves and sustains real business value. In short, the program manager doesn't run the software, they run the change. Without this role, transformations often splinter into disconnected projects. With it, you gain alignment, pace, and the confidence that value will actually be delivered. Now let's talk about the technical lead and stream leads. In most transformations, your vendor or system integrator will provide a technical project manager. Their role is clear and vital. They focus on the design, build, and test of the platform. They make sure the system is configured correctly, that it functions as expected, and that it passes the required tests before go-live. That's an important responsibility. Every transformation needs strong technical leadership to ensure the platform works as the business requires. But here's the key. The technical PM is not the program manager. Their accountability is tied to the technology stream alone, not to people, processes, adoption, or overall business outcomes. This is where many organizations get into trouble. They mistakenly hand over the full transformation to the vendor's technical PM. The issue? That person is accountable for one stream of work, not the bigger picture. When the vendor runs the show, the transformation almost always tilts toward technology, at the expense of adoption, process redesign, and long-term capability. That's why your internal program manager remains essential. The program manager orchestrates across all streams, people, process, data, and technology, while the technical lead ensures the platform delivers. The technical lead drives the tool. The program manager drives the outcome. When you keep those roles distinct and complementary, you protect flexibility. This is what we call agility over rigidity. The entire transformation is coordinated, adaptive, and value-focused, not constrained by the limits of a single system or vendor. To make transformation connect directly to business outcomes, you need to organize by value streams, not just by system modules. Think of end-to-end flows like lead-to-cash or procure-to-pay. These aren't just process maps, they're the actual ways value moves through your organization. By structuring work around streams, you keep transformation tied to what matters most for the business. For each stream, pair an internal business lead with the vendor's module lead. This partnership is where strategy meets execution. The vendor brings technical expertise, but your internal lead knows how the business really operates day to day. Together, they co-design the future workflows, ensuring the system supports the way the business should run, not just the way the software is delivered by default. These stream and process leads are also accountable for testing and training inputs. They set the acceptance criteria for when a process is truly ready. They shape training content so it reflects real workflows, helping employees learn not just how to use a system, but how to work differently and better. This is where the principle of disciplines over play comes alive. Transformation isn't about improvisation or one-off heroics. It's about creating repeatable, teachable practices that scale across the organization. When you organize by value streams, pair internal and external leads, and build with disciplined processes, you create a structure that is resilient, repeatable, and anchored in outcomes that last. Every transformation ultimately stands or falls on the people who know the business best, the subject matter experts, or SMEs. These are the frontline experts embedded in each value stream, and they bring something no consultant, vendor, or executive can replace. The truth about how work really gets done. SMEs surface the real exceptions and controls. They know the handoffs that never appear in process maps, the edge cases that break the system, and the workarounds people rely on just to keep things moving. Without their input, designs look neat on paper but fail in practice. They also supply realistic data and test cases that make validation meaningful. A system tested only against happy path scenarios may pass technically, but collapse when it meets the complexity of daily business. SMEs bring the gritty reality that makes testing and readiness checks credible. But their role doesn't end at design and testing. SMEs often become the early adopters and change champions in their teams. Because their colleagues trust them, they are the most effective advocates for adoption, modeling the new way of working and helping peers cross the bridge with confidence. Here's the practical truth. SMEs have day jobs. If you overload them, you'll burn them out and stall both the program and operations. The best organizations backfill their workload, freeing them to contribute fully without damaging daily business. This is where transformation becomes real and cultural. When SMEs are empowered and supported, they not only shape stronger processes but also carry the story of change into the front line. That's how you move from compliance-driven adoption to true culture over compliance, where people embrace change because they trust it, not because they're forced to. Now, let's look at a more balanced way to structure transformation. In this approach, technology is still critical, but it's treated as just one part of a broader design. Alongside it, you stand up parallel work streams for data, change leadership, business process, enterprise architecture, value tracking, and quality assurance. Each stream has its own leader, deliverables, and accountability so nothing important falls through the cracks. The real strength comes from integration. Instead of operating as silos, all the streams connect through one integrated plan and cadence. Everyone moves to the same rhythm, so progress in one area reinforces progress in another. For example, process design, training, and change communications are ready when the technology is ready. No last-minute scramble. Another key is to keep governance lightweight but real. You don't need binders full of documentation. What you need are simple artifacts that make progress visible and clear stage gates that confirm readiness. A stage gate shouldn't ask, is the paperwork complete, but rather, are we truly ready to move forward? This structure allows you to move quickly while still building trust. Teams know their work is being managed. Leaders see that value is being protected, and the business gains confidence that transformation is under control. In short, the question shifts from, did we launch the tool, to, did we build the capability? And that difference determines whether you're simply chasing change or truly mastering it. Data is one of the most common blind spots in transformation, which is why it deserves its own stream, with its own leader, not buried under the technology team. Too many programs treat data as a side task, and when that happens, it rarely gets the attention it needs. The data lead is responsible for the heavy lifting. Cleansing, mapping, reconciliation, and running mock conversions early and often. Those trial runs expose issues long before go-live, giving the team time to fix problems before they cause real damage. Waiting until the end to test your data migration is one of the fastest ways to derail a launch. But data management doesn't stop at cutover. You also need clarity about master data ownership and controls. Who is allowed to create or change customer records? What's the golden source of truth for vendors, products, or financial data? Without clear rules, even the cleanest data at GoLive will decay quickly. The mindset here is simple. Clean data is a habit, not a one-time task. It needs to be measured, tracked, and continuously improved over the life of the system. When you establish ownership and governance, data shifts from being a liability to becoming one of your biggest enablers of decision-making and value realization. So remember, your technology will only ever be as strong as the data flowing through it. Treat data as a capability in its own right, and you'll avoid one of the most painful pitfalls of transformation. At the heart of every transformation is not the technology, it's the people. Tools can spark the effort, but culture and leadership determine whether change actually takes root. That's why you need a dedicated change lead with a small, focused team guiding the organization through the journey. The first step is to build a stakeholder map and craft a change story. Who is impacted, and what will change for them? This isn't about sending generic communications. It's about giving each group a clear and personal reason for why the transformation matters. Alongside the story, you need to define role impacts, how daily work will shift for a salesperson, a finance analyst, or a manager on the floor. Sometimes that means rewriting job descriptions or resetting expectations so the change sticks. Training comes next, but it must go beyond clicking through system features. The most effective training is built around future process scenarios. Show people what their work will look like in real life after the change, and let them practice. When training mirrors reality, adoption is faster and confidence grows stronger. Finally, you need metrics for adoption and proficiency. It's not enough to check the box that training was completed. The real test is, are people using the new way of working? Are they confident and capable in it? Those are the measures that prove whether transformation is sticking or slipping. This is where the principle of culture over compliance comes alive. Change isn't about forcing people to attend workshops. It's about creating clarity, building confidence, and equipping leaders to model the behaviors that make transformation last. Every transformation rests on a foundation, and that foundation is enterprise architecture and integration. This isn't just a technical footnote. It's the blueprint for how all your systems will work together to support the business long-term. At the center of this blueprint are your core platforms: ERP, CRM, data hubs, and edge applications. The goal is to make them function as one connected ecosystem instead of a patchwork of tools stitched together with manual workarounds. To do this well, you need clear integration patterns and security boundaries defined from the very beginning. Ask the critical questions early. How will data flow between systems? Which services must be real-time, and which can run in batch? Where do the security guardrails go so that data stays safe without slowing down the business? These decisions shape not only today's design, but also tomorrow's scalability. Another vital step is to establish the system of record for each dataset, whether it's customer information, product details, or financials. Without a single golden source of truth, duplication creeps in, inconsistencies multiply, and trust in the data erodes. And here's a common trap. Too many programs go live with the new system, but keep legacy platforms running just in case. That quietly drives up cost and complexity while undermining adoption. The better approach is to plan upfront when and how legacy systems will be retired, so costs drop as value rises. The bottom line, treat integration as its own product. When you design deliberately, with patterns, performance, and security in mind, you create a solid foundation that lets transformation scale with clarity and confidence. Transformation doesn't just change technology, it reshapes how the business runs. That's why you need a business process owner, someone who looks across all the streams and ensures the pieces fit together into one coherent operating model. Their first responsibility is to set global standards and simple KPIs. These create consistency across regions, functions, and systems. The key here is to avoid drowning in complexity. A handful of clear, meaningful measures works better than dozens of disconnected metrics. Simple KPIs give everyone the same scoreboard and make success visible. The second responsibility is to maintain a continuous improvement backlog. Transformation doesn't end at GoLive. That's just the starting line for ongoing refinement. The backlog captures lessons learned, process tweaks, and enhancement requests, turning sustainment into a structured cycle of improvement. This is how the organization keeps building value over time. And here's a crucial principle. Technology should fit the process, not the other way around. Too often, organizations twist their operations to match the limitations of a tool. A strong process owner flips that equation, making sure systems enable the business, not constrain it. This is where the principle of disciplines over play comes alive. By setting standards, defining a few clear KPIs, and embedding continuous improvement, the business process owner ensures the transformation stays grounded in outcomes, and that execution translates into lasting value. One of the most common mistakes in transformation is making governance too heavy. Real governance should do the opposite. It should speed up decisions, not slow them down. The foundation is clarity, clear decision rights, and a simple, predictable weekly rhythm. This rhythm usually takes the form of a short, practical forum, not a slide deck review, but a problem-solving session where leaders focus on 3 questions. 1. What decisions need to be made now? 2. What risks or dependencies are blocking progress? 3. How do we keep value flowing across all streams? To make this work, you also need time-boxed escalations. If a stream lead can't resolve an issue within 2 days, it escalates to the program manager. If the program manager can't resolve it, it moves to the steering committee at their next checkpoint. This prevents problems from lingering in limbo, building frustration, or derailing progress. And here's the key principle. Simple beats complex. A lightweight structure with clear rights, regular risk reviews, and fast escalation paths will outperform layers of bureaucracy every time. When governance is done this way, teams feel supported, leaders stay informed, and decisions keep pace with the transformation. So think of governance not as red tape, but as the muscle that keeps the program moving forward with confidence. When it comes to resourcing and budgeting, good intentions are never enough. Transformation takes the right people, in the right roles, with the right support. That means being deliberate about how you blend internal and external resources. External partners bring expertise and speed. Internal people bring context, ownership, and culture. The most effective programs use both, but they do it with intent, not by accident. A critical truth is this: protect your people. Subject matter experts are vital to design, testing, and adoption, but they also carry day jobs. Without backfill, they burn out, and both the project and the business suffer. By planning backfill support, you free SMEs to fully contribute while keeping daily operations steady. Budgeting requires the same discipline. Too many organizations fund the software and vendor services but underfund change management and data. That's a recipe for frustration, because without strong change leadership and clean data, even the best technology won't deliver value. And don't forget sustainment. Value grows after go-live, not before. If you don't allocate funding for continuous improvements, adoption support, and refinements, the momentum fades, and so does the return on investment. Here's the larger point. Resourcing and budgeting are signals of your priorities. If you invest in people, in change, in data, and in sustainment, you're saying transformation is a capability, not a one-time project. That's how you protect clarity over chaos and make value stick. The real test of transformation is not whether the system goes live. It's whether the business realizes the benefits it set out to achieve. That's why value realization cannot be left until the end. It must start on day 1. During the assessment phase, define the benefits clearly. What outcomes should this transformation deliver? Faster cycle times? Higher customer satisfaction? Stronger financial performance? Naming benefits early creates a shared definition of success and anchors the program in business outcomes rather than activity. Next, tie those benefits directly to the work in alignment and execution. Use OKRs, objectives, and key results to link milestones and process changes to measurable outcomes. This ensures every deliverable is connected to value, not just tasks being checked off a list. Once the system is live, you shift into sustainment, where tracking becomes critical. Create a visible scorecard that shows adoption, cycle times, quality metrics, and financial impact. Keep it simple, keep it transparent, and keep it updated. This is how leaders and teams see whether value is being delivered and where improvements are still needed. And don't underestimate the power of recognition. Celebrate the wins as value shows up. It reinforces momentum, builds trust, and motivates teams to keep improving. At the same time, use the scorecard to spot lagging areas, then adjust and refine until the benefits you defined at the start are fully realized. Here's the principle. Advantage is the outcome. Transformation isn't about tools or go-live dates. It's about building the capability to deliver measurable value again and again. Before moving into execution, pause and make sure the foundations are solid. Think of this as your implementation checklist, the essentials that signal whether your program is ready to succeed. Start at the top. The Steering Committee and Transformation Management Office, TMO, must be aligned on vision, OKRs, and value targets. If leaders aren't on the same page, teams will be forced to navigate mixed signals, and that slows progress every time. Next, confirm that you have an internal program manager named and truly empowered. This isn't just a box on an org chart. It's someone with the authority, time, and executive backing to drive the program day to day. Without that role, coordination frays and outcomes drift. Then check staffing across the streams. Are tech, data, change, process, architecture, value, and quality assurance all covered by accountable leaders? If even one stream is missing, blind spots will appear and risks will compound. It's just as important to verify that artifacts are tied to the lifecycle. Every phase, assessment, alignment, execution, and sustainment should produce real deliverables that prove readiness, not just activity. Finally, make sure the cadence, stage gates, and escalation rules are clear. Teams need a steady rhythm, leaders need real checkpoints, and issues need a defined path for resolution. Without these pathways, delays and confusion are guaranteed. Here's the rule of thumb. If any box on this checklist is empty, you are not ready for execution. This is where disciplines over play comes alive. By putting structure in place before you start, you build clarity, protect value, and give your transformation the best chance to succeed. As we close, let's bring everything back to the central theme. Treat transformation as a capability, not a project. Projects end. Capabilities endure. And it's that enduring ability to adapt, align, and deliver that creates lasting advantage for your organization. The way to build that capability is to staff according to the life cycle, not the tool. Technology is important, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. Real transformation covers the full life cycle, assessment, alignment, execution, and sustainment, and requires leaders across data, change, process, architecture, value, and quality. When you staff to the life cycle, you cover the full terrain of transformation, not just the technical stream. How you run the work matters just as much. Run parallel streams with clear artifacts. These artifacts don't have to be heavy or complex. They just need to make readiness visible and connect the dots across streams. That visibility builds trust and keeps everyone moving together. Finally, hold simple and honest stage gates. A gate isn't about paperwork, it's about truth. Are we truly ready to move forward? Do adoption, outcomes, and value line up with what we promised? That kind of honesty protects trust, protects value, and prevents costly missteps. When you combine these practices, you turn change into advantage. You don't just implement tools, you build a structure, a rhythm, and a capability that lasts. That's how you get adoption that sticks and value that grows long after go live. Thank you for your time and attention today. I hope this session has given you not only a clearer picture of how to structure a digital transformation project team, but also the confidence to treat transformation as a capability, something that lasts far beyond a single project. If you have questions, we'd love to hear them. At Flatirons Consulting, our mission is to bring clarity over chaos and help organizations turn change into lasting advantage. I invite you to connect with us directly at www.flatironsconsulting.com. There, you'll find resources, guides, and insights to help you take the next step. Whether that means shaping your team structure, standing up a transformation management office, or building transformation as a true capability. So once again, thank you, and I encourage you to reach out. We'd be honored to help your organization make transformation work, not just once, but over and over again.